Hey everybody, I'm here with the surf band, the Dreadtones from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Great.
Awesome. Very excited to have you on. You put out quite a long album, which I love. Um, why don't you introduce yourselves and tell me what instruments you play? I see a bunch of basses and guitars back there.
Yes. Well, right now it's me. I'm Brian. This is Sam. Um, I play guitar. I do drums. I do some of the bass. He does guitar. He does a lot more of the bass than I do. And we basically just been writing and recording and doing our thing.
Yeah, so what I did this season is to primarily focus on Hunter King from Storm Surge of Reverb's list of releases for 2022. Like I said, you guys had a huge album you released. What was that the culmination of? A year's project, or was it something after COVID or during COVID that you decided to put together?
That was like pretty much just every song that we had tinkered with since we started playing together. So we didn't really plan on making it an album. You can see there's inconsistencies in the album itself, like our styles and how we were kind of litigating how we were going to do writing and how we were going to make this project sound the way it sounded. And then people were starting to freak out on the internet about how good it was, and it's like stuff they hadn't heard before, so we just gave them everything. And that Klopstop Records was a big part of that. He wanted, something that he could put on cassette tape in Germany and promote it. So what's his name? Vaughn
Klopstop. Vlad.
Yeah. And he was doing that for free, so we just gave him everything. Nice. Everything we worked on in like a year and a half's time.
Yeah, it was about a year and a half.
So is that how long you guys had been together? A year and a half at that point?
Yeah, writing together.
Yeah.
We met in like a stoner metal band. So he was drumming and I was playing bass. And then we stepped aside and started writing this stuff. So
So did you guys get a couple of cassettes?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
I would love to review it on our channel. If you'd send me a copy, I'd love to review it. You have my address. Just send it on over to me.
Absolutely. We got one with your name on it.
Awesome. So what I want to talk about right now is how you would describe your music to somebody who's new to the band.
Well, the way we describe it, we describe it as like, it's like indie surf, like indie rock horror surf, with a different twist on it. Because Sam here, he's the big surf guy. Like he brings all the surf influence. Me, I never I know what surf is, but like at the time, like it was kind of like a new concept to me. I've never actually went and played it myself. So, I mean, I've been playing guitar since I was 16 years old, a long time. And like, that's one genre that I've never explored, and it was new and it was interesting to me. So, with all of my weird influences and then his surf influence, we meshed this thing together. And I realized it was something that you really don't hear anywhere. Like it was something completely different.
It was a short-lived. I always say to him, it's the footprint. The footprint that. So like you had the bands in the 60s that were the really good surf bands, and then everything after that, and the whole thing is the footprint. So when I do like who's the best band that the top 10, that's the overall, like in the last 60 years, the footprint of surf music, which was the best, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So it's different. I don't think I've ever heard anything. It's got a lot of kind of melodies like metal music would have, the stuff that we're writing, but it's not heavy. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little aggressive at times, but
there's some cool videos on YouTube that I've seen suggested to me. Black metal without distortion, death metal without distortion, and a lot of these guys turn them into surf songs.
yeah,
And they're really, I mean, without the distortion, it is really hard to distinguish between, you know, the muting and stuff like that. It's really interesting.
I mean, I always say that surf music, the original surf music, was metal's great grandfather. So
Yeah.
I mean, if you think of it, a lot of that was pretty metal for its time.
Yeah, totally. Even Jimi Hendrix said about Dick Dale, like, you didn't hear him talk about a lot of other musicians, although he loved the Beatles, but Dick Dale was like the big thing for him.
Somebody in a comment section on YouTube, like about a month ago, I can't remember what Dick Dale song it was. It was when he was playing, what's that big radio station out in Seattle that always does like videos?
I'm not sure.
Live performances. Anyway, somebody said it was trash metal without distortion. Don't talk about Dick like that, man. He's your protege. He's your predecessor. So
yeah. So you had quite a catalog. And what you said about the variety on the album is very apparent. But there are certain songs that are strictly or are obviously surf influenced. Is that the direction you think you're going to be taking in the future?
Well, we're dragging our ass on a new album, and this one's a little bit more, I don't know, what would you say? This one's a lot more designed.
Yeah.
We actually had a goal to write an album with what we're doing. So he'll usually come up with something real kind of indie rock sounding but dark, and then my objective is to come up with a second guitar part to make it as surfy as possible to whatever he writes. And then sometimes I'll have something and then he does the opposite. He does something to complement it. So you'll like, if you like the first album, you're really gonna like, because you can tell that we've narrowed down to what we want an album to sound like this time.
Yeah.
What I find interesting, and I'm sure you guys notice this too, is that when a band comes out and they have their first album is on the fringe, it's kind of groundbreaking in its own right for the band, but they really find their space on the second album. They're free to be way more creative, and it's true with a lot of metal bands, a lot of surf bands, punk bands, hardcore bands. That second album gives them time to kind of really like understand where they're going. Is that how you worked on this?
Yeah, I would say so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now it's interesting now because we have a tryout tonight for a drummer, and we're gonna start trying to rehearse with a live band. You know what I mean? If we can pull it off, and we'll see how that goes. After we release the second album, that might change everything completely. So you get other people in the mix. Could be great, could be bad. Who knows? We'll make it work.
Awesome. So you're in Pittsburgh. What is it, the surf music scene like in Pittsburgh?
Shit. It's shit.
I think we have one band here that's, they're pretty big. They're called the Yegs.
Okay.
And I know there's one more band in Erie, and those are the only two I know in this area.
I know in the last like 5 years there was about 3 but I don't know. Like one guy played. I mean, they would play an occasional show, and like their bass player had a 5-string bass. I didn't really know what to think of them. They were bringing a lot of stuff to the table, but I don't even know if they're playing anymore. I can't remember their name. It's tough to see it around here. You got to go
West.
You got to go west to find anything good.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You're good if you haven't heard them yet.
who's that?
The Yegs.
The Yegs. Yeggs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. I will check. I will look them up.
3 feet.
I'm interested in knowing what that cool amp is back there.
That you tell them. It's your house.
That's a Fender Super Champ, 15-watt tube. That's usually what he plays through, but it's my amp. He just bought a really cool amp, that Ampeg.
Yeah.
That old 60-something amp.
All of my guitar parts have been recorded on that to this point. I play a Surfy Bear with a Tajima Series 61, and I play a Surfy Bear into that, and then that's what we've used pretty much every recording. He mixes it up a little bit.
What is your guitar of choice when you went for your sound on the Dreadtones?
Every guitar you basically heard. Watch that thing. Is this guy right here? It's just a Mexican Strat with these are called Dragonfire pickups. They're modeled off of the Texas Specials, but they're supposedly they're wound hotter, and I really like the sound of it.
This guy's been on a few recordings.
Oh wow!
That's
Taisco.
I think it's a 62
Japanese.
Yep, Japanese made silver tone.
How do you come by one of those?
You know what? You won't believe me when I tell you this. Somebody literally gave it to me probably 20 years ago and didn't know what they had.
I guess not.
And when they gave it to me, I didn't know what it was.
The first time I came over here to jam with him, I saw that and I was like, oh, that's a surf guitar.
Yeah.
I was freaking out.
But yeah, last week I just bought this.
Oh wow!
It's a classic vibe 70s
You could say
Jaguar.
it's a
Squire Jaguar.
Uh-huh.
But it's beautiful.
What do you got in the back there?
What's that?
You got in the back there, bud?
Oh, people accuse me of having a Gilmore Strat, but I'm not a Pink Floyd listener, so I just call it my Strat. But it's got it's got the white pickups in it. But I was always a Telly guy until I started fiddling around with Strats, and I liked the neck better.
Yeah.
So I just use this down here, a little 59 pickup, which I had in my Telecaster. I just put it in the Strat, and it sounds amazing.
What is it?
I play more heavy music.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
another thing. There's a big rockabilly scene in Pittsburgh. I mean, the list goes on. It's too bad the surf music around here isn't that developed, because the rockabilly bands around here are pretty good.
That would be a good show to see. Of course, surf and rockabilly kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah. I grew up with a band when I lived in Ohio when I was a kid, and I grew up with the Lords of the Highway, and good rockabilly band, but he was really into surf music, and he incorporated a lot of surf riffs into their stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's probably where I really started to love surf, was from that guy.
Awesome. Well, is there anything you'd like to talk about that I may not have mentioned?
Well, like you said, the the previous album was like a lot of content. This new one is going to be about the same amount of songs, right around 17. Like I always say, we have the opposite of writer's block. We've just been nailing them out one after the other. So like from the moment we released our self-titled album, we haven't stopped. We haven't taken a break. It's just been like keep going. So
when you have like a week, a job during the week, and you have the time to put together a record, and you just feel it coming in, and you're totally stoked on it. And is this something you like, you want to keep to yourself until you're done, or do you go to work and go, look what I was working on?
I mean, we share them on SoundCloud so that, because I drive a truck, he drives a truck, we work different schedules. And like if he comes up with something, he'll do like the drums, maybe the bass, guitar, and then I'll listen to it all week because he'll share it on SoundCloud. And
Okay.
then start like, I'll listen to it 3 or 4 times, do some work, go back to it, start getting an idea of what I want to do. You know, that's kind of how we work, because we only have Saturdays to work on our material. So that helps having SoundCloud, you know. So every now and again, if you're on SoundCloud, you'll see a song come up, and it won't sound the same every time you hear it. It's because we're working on
tweaking on it. Yeah, we're very much DIY. I do all of the recording, the mixing, the mastering, everything. You will notice from the last album to this new album that the production quality is better. That's just from, you know, doing it for so long and figuring out what works and what doesn't work. But it's still pretty raw. It's not like you know, we're at, you know, Sony Studios and we're doing like a professional recording. It still sounds very raw, but it sounds good.
Awesome. Well, I want to tell all our viewers, you go to the link in the description to the Dreadtones Bandcamp page, sample their music, purchase the digital copy. You'll have plenty of music to listen on for on your commute, and then look for the cassette review coming up on Pi Records. And there's links to some Pi Records merch in the description, as well as tons of music resources, surf music. Guys, I want to thank you so much for being on the channel. It was a great time talking to you, especially Pittsburgh. Today's a Pennsylvania day, it seems.
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan. We
appreciate
appreciate it.